What's going on YouTube? This is my new R32, and in today's video what I'm basically going to be doing is kind of breaking down and doing an overview on what's happening with this car and the new parts that I bought and the future of the GTI going forward. So basically what I have here is an R32 that we picked up from One Love Auto Group, and if you're not familiar with One Love Auto Group, I'm going to link them down below and you can check out their website. They have tons of cool VW parts, all salvaged from rare cars. So if you're trying to, like, for example, convert your interior to black headliner or something like that, definitely check them out because they have a full suite of black headliners and pillars and all that stuff and black trim. And that's where I picked up this R32. So you can see here, it's basically a complete rolling shell. It's bare for the most part, besides the fact that it has the full all-wheel drive drivetrain. What makes that special is that all of these components are going to be stripped from this car, and then the black car, the front-wheel drive GTI 24 valve, is going to be converted to all-wheel drive. Now, I know probably the first response I'm going to get for that, well, why don't you just swap all your parts over to this car? And it's a valid question, but really why I wouldn't do that is because this shell is really not in the greatest shape. So if you look here, you'll see all of this rust, and the rockers are actually crushed. And you know, these things are kind of common with Mark IVs that haven't been really well taken care of, because these pinch wells can get soft and they start to rot, and then, you know, somebody takes a jack to the underside of the car and they basically raise the whole floor. And then over here what happens is the fender liner goes up to here and crap gets stuck in here, and this rusts away. You can see this is pretty much all the way through. So, you know, that makes this shell pretty much a non-starter. And other than the all-wheel drive components, that's all it's good for. So, first things first, started removing all of the all-wheel drive components, got the center drive shaft out, and you know, getting to remove all of this stuff so that we can put it on the floor and take inventory of it, figure out what's needed still, what we already have, and then start looking into where does the floor meet. So one thing, if you're familiar with the swap at all, is that you have to take the entire floor, and not just the entire floor from all the way from the front, but basically to the front of the rear seat, which I don't know if the camera's really capturing this well. That's kind of just in front of the gas tank, which is another item that we're going to have to take, because the gas tank for all-wheel drive cars is actually unique because it goes over the drive shaft, which the front-wheel drive cars do not have. So basically, got to go and expose all of the metal, figure out where all of the spot welds are, and get this out of here. What we'll probably end up doing with this shell is actually just cutting the whole shell to the front of that floor pan out and then working it off the car so that we can junk the rest of the shell. It's going to be a fun project for sure. It's going to be long and arduous, but it's definitely going to be a learning experience because I've never done anything quite like this before. You know, I've turbocharged my car and done a lot of mechanical work, but this is more on the level of, you know, a heavy body guy, somebody with more frame expertise. Still have to figure out whether, when we go about separating the floor, whether we have to actually brace the entire car or not so that it doesn't flex. You know, that's something to take into consideration when you do something like this, because if the car flexes on you and you go and put the other floor in and they're not exactly the same size and you weld them in the wrong spot, then the car's not straight, you can never align it, it'll never drive straight, and you have all sorts of problems. It basically it's a compound effect, really. If you screw that up, everything else going forward gets even worse from there. So, like I said, it's gonna be a process. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna take a while because I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna really try and document it because since the forum is kind of dead, everyone who's done this in the past obviously used something like PhotoBucket. And if you've been on the forum before, you know that PhotoBucket basically destroyed the ability for any old thread that uses it to host photos for it to be valid anymore. So basically all the DIYs, all of the build threads with something like this in it are all dead. So what I'm going to try and do through YouTube is kind of revamp that and try and document this, and maybe even put up a site with photos and diagrams, you know, if I manage to be able to do it to that level. But yeah, let me show you what it's like inside and what other stuff I got from One Love. All right, so the car's on the ground. So I've done a little bit of work in here to get some more metal exposed. Oh, yes, transmission. So I did also get a new transmission with the transfer case. So you can see, so that it can bolt up to the drive shaft on the front side over there. So that's going to be something that I'm probably going to build up as well so that it holds the power. But yeah, so basically just trying to expose some of this stuff, you know, remove the wiring harness, and just figure out where everything kind of comes together. There's a seam here, there's spot welds going down this way, and from the research that I was able to find so far, it seems that most people go all the way to the front of the seat and take that whole metal with it. Because, for example, on the GTI, the two-door GTI, these little doors, it only has the door for the fuel pump on that side. That door doesn't exist. So I haven't gotten in there yet. I don't know if maybe there's two floats for the gas tank because it's two-sided or what. But it seems like most conversions that I was able to find information on, because again, the hosting is all broken. They've all gone to basically all the way to the front over there, and that's probably what we're gonna have to do. So getting there, it's gonna be a process, but a fun one, and definitely a learning experience. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the all-wheel drive system and this shell in general. At some point I'm probably gonna make a video where I get the GTI over here, start stripping that down and seeing what the differences are between the two cars, to make sure that the only differences are in this rear pan and not actually going forward into the tunnel all the way to the front, because if that's the case, you know, there's going to be other challenges there. But you know, knowing VW and knowing auto manufacturers in general, they probably make the cars identical to where they have to be different, and then they make just that spot different. So, you know, fingers crossed, it's just this rear pan so that we can attach the suspension and the cradle and all that stuff for the rear wheel drive or the all-wheel drive. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. What else? Oh yeah, so let's talk about the motor for a second. So this is a true Mark IV R32 engine code, BJS. And the fate of this motor is still unknown. It may go into another build, but we don't know yet. Or I don't know yet, I should say. I really would like to do something pretty different, but I don't know. Could do that, or this could end up maybe turning into an R30 using parts from the 2.8 and this 3.2 to make an R30. I don't think there's really been any R30s in the US yet, so that would be something kind of fun to do. And maybe, you know, rev it out higher, I don't know, but got the motor, gonna be tearing it down, gonna be learning about it some more, seeing what the differences are between this and the 2.8, because I've never torn down a 3.2 yet, and just figuring out what I'm gonna do with it. That's part of the fun, right? So yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video to start this off, So we'll call this the kickoff of the all-wheel drive conversion slash R32 944 slash losing all of my hair fun time. Yeah, I don't know. That's basically it, guys. That's all I got. So step into this new world of misery with me.